In this video, I'm going to show you and talk about some things that will guaranteed save you some money and time. I'm actually not going to show you the step-by-step process because Car Care Nut has a perfect video that covers most, but he's not working on an 07 Sienna. He's working on a car that has the same engine, but a few different things. That said, when you are doing this project, you are probably doing this to save yourself some money. What you save in money, you are going to lose in time. Guaranteed, if you are not very familiar with doing this. And you have to take a lot of things off to get to the back coil packs. There's two banks. There's a bank of coil packs that you can easily access. If you're throwing a code for one of those front cylinder coil packs, then you can skip most of this. But if you have to do the ones in the back, there's one specific part that is a big pain in the butt. It is worth doing all of them. So buy new coil packs, buy new, for everything, buy new spark plugs, and don't skimp on those because the coil packs and the spark plugs, they're not all made the same. There are some cheap ones out there and you're going to be doing this job again. So you don't want to do that. And that brings me to one of the points that will save you money. Believe it or not, you're going to need to replace some gaskets as well. The plenum gasket and the throttle body gasket. Maybe some other components as you go, like the air filter or the mass airflow sensor. But when you look for the parts that you're going to buy, you might be looking on Amazon, you might be looking at AutoZone or some local auto parts store. Do not skip looking at the Toyota dealership or possibly multiple dealerships. It was more expensive to buy inferior third-party parts from Amazon and AutoZone than it was to buy the gaskets from Toyota. So you're getting authentic Toyota parts. And from dealership to dealership, the prices vary. It's not one price sheet for every dealership. So I'm in Utah. There was a Salt Lake area dealership, and there was one down in Sandy area. The one off of State Street was cheaper than the one that was closer by a significant margin. Saved me probably $50 going to the Toyota dealership in a little bit further down the road. They have a parts department. You just call them up. That's what those guys do all day. They answer the phone and order parts, and they're quick. It was next day, basically, for me. So check around for prices on the coil packs, spark plugs, all that stuff, and buy the best that you can. I get not everybody can afford it. That's why you're watching this video. Now, when you are going along through the process, there's a few things that you want to do. One of them is when you're removing your windshield wipers, you want to mark where the windshield wipers are. If your windshield is dirty, just lift up your wiper and you'll see if there's a line. Good, keep it there. Don't clean your windshield. If not, put some masking tape down where it meets the blade. Because when you put it back on, you're not guessing where it is, because that's a whole nother game you're going to be playing and aligning those bolts so that the wipers are aligned when they start activating. So that's a time saver. But you're going to be removing a lot of parts to get this job done. And in the process, you're going to be you should replace the air filter if it's dirty. You should clean your mass airflow sensor with mass airflow sensor spray. Don't use other cleaners. These are all very specific. And then you're going to get to your throttle body, which it is worth cleaning. My car, it's so buttery smooth now, it runs beautifully. A big part is because I cleaned the throttle body. It's got 170,000 miles on this Sienna, and nobody ever cleaned it. So it was well overdue. Couple other things that you need to know is when you're working on it, if you clean your throttle body, which I think you should, don't do it while it's connected. Just disconnect the whole assembly. And definitely don't do it while it's running. There's some videos on there of people cleaning it with, there's current that could be running and you could be shocking yourself or really damaging your car. Take it off, clean it properly. It doesn't take a lot of this spray. This one right here. You're not going to use a lot, but take your time. Your car will run a lot better. However, when you reattach it, it's going to be that sensor, the computer is telling it where to open and where to stay and all that kind of stuff. Over time, as it gets gummed up and everything in your car isn't running as well because your coil packs are bad or your spark plugs aren't as efficient, it's going to have to relearn its position of what gives a good idle and good acceleration, all that kind of stuff. So there is a process of relearning your throttle body, and it's kind of a weird process. You got to let the car sit running, get nice and warm, put in drive, hold the brake for 5 minutes, let it run. It does all these things, and then your car is going to be running beautifully. So you're going to clean this. It might mess up your idle. You might think you screwed up. You didn't. But just take your time with it. Now, when it comes time to the plenum, which is the worst part of this job, and if you watch Car Care Nut, he explains how big of a pain getting the back bracket behind. You're reaching around, you're kind of flying blind, really. I hired a mobile mechanic who worked on this car and replaced the back spark plugs. He didn't do the coil packs, but he did a spark plug job. And he never put the bracket back on. There's 2 brackets. I'll show them to you. Look at this. This is one of the brackets. And neither of these were bolted on. And my car was running for years without the brackets. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm telling you that if you are having a big pain in the behind, you may want to skip it. There's another video where it shows that you can cut the metal and use it kind of as a slip-on much easier. You already have the bolt threaded in somewhat. So there's some workarounds. My car's been running without the brackets on for years. I know that I'm running a risk. The reason why I'm running a risk is if my motor mount starts going and the vibrations really go, then we're looking at possibly the plastic components, which the plenum is, cracking. You also want to get a torque wrench because some of these you have to tighten to torque specs. So that's worth doing. But the plenum does attach without the brackets. But the brackets are there to help keep it from vibrating and shaking excessively. But I wanted to point that out because that is probably the biggest nightmare. This whole job is that back bolt on the bracket. Now, one of the other things that you want to get, it's worth getting if you are fixing cars yourself, is get an OBD scan tool. Plugs into the computer. You can look at all the other codes that it's throwing while you're working on the problem. You might be close by another problem that you can take care of. The biggest problem that I ran into when I was doing this is I didn't want to put it all back together until I was certain I did it right. And so I put as much together as I thought I needed, and I tried to start the car and it wouldn't start. Because along this, I forgot what it's called, the big metal sheet that goes along the windshield, vellum, I think. It's not vellum. It's not plenum either. But anyway, there is a fuel pump resistor that I did not plug in. It's kind of hiding underneath that metal component that I had moved aside. So I didn't have that plugged in. The car was not going to start no matter what because the resistor wasn't activating the whole circuitry of the fuel pump. It took me forever, which leads me to another point that I want to give to you. Join the Facebook Toyota Sienna owners group. It is well worth it. I couldn't figure it out. I did a video, and one of the awesome people in that group pointed out, hey, Andrew, your fuel pump resistor is not connected. As soon as I did that, the car started up beautifully, and I reassembled the whole thing. So among some other tools that are worth having is a telescoping magnet, so you can pick up the bolts, because if you're working on that back bracket, I guarantee you're going to be dropping something down there. So watch Car Care Nuts video. It's very thorough. I'll link to the difficult plenum bolt. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. There's some excellent videos on YouTube. So that's why going forward, if there's not a good repair video, I'll do it. But if there is a good one, I will point you to it, but give you the tips that I learned along the way. So if this video is helpful, and I think it definitely is, please give it a like. Please leave a comment. So thanks for watching. Let me know if there's any tips that you have while working on your Sienna in doing this, and I hope you have a very smooth and successful car repair. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.